Alright, I'm going to show you what we actually do around here. As a Zion local guide, this is the kind of stuff most tourists miss. This local classic is called Falls Park. It's in Virgin, Utah, about 10 minutes from the South Zion National Park entrance. The Virgin River runs right through it, and it's been one of my favorite spots in the whole area for the last 25 plus years since I've been coming here to Sheepsbridge since I was a young kid. Falls Park is also one of the best spots in the area for families to float the Virgin River. The water moves slow and calm through this stretch. The kids and grandparents, everybody can get out here, and you just drop in below the biggest rapid and let the river do the work. It's shallow enough in most spots to feel safe and nice enough that you're not going to want to get out. The Virgin River has been carving Zion Canyon for roughly 6 million years, cutting nearly 3,000 feet down through the Navajo sandstone to create what you see today. Zion Canyon is one of the narrowest, deep canyons on Earth. The river didn't just cut down, it cut sideways, which is why the walls feel like they're closing in on you in the narrows. The Navajo sandstone that makes up most of Zion's walls started as ancient sand dunes, a massive desert that covered this region about 190 million years ago. The Virgin River is essentially cutting through fossilized dunes. The river is still actively carving. Flash floods do the heavy lifting. A single major flood can move more sediment in a few hours than years of normal flow. The same river that carved Zion flows right through Virgin and Hurricane. We're floating on the same water that made one of the most famous canyons on the planet, and so can you. Check out our website to book a tour, and don't forget to subscribe for more local adventures. Sheepsbridge Road and the bridge itself get their name from a sheep herder named Alan Stout, who built the original bridge in the 1850s to move his flock across the Virgin River. Locals and travelers now use Sheepsbridge Road as a shortcut to connect SR9 to SR59, as well as an access point for a massive stretch of BLM public land for camping and recreation. If you're new here, this is Amy, my awesome partner. We have been so fortunate to be able to share so many adventures together. This is my grandma, Sheila Wright Dutton. Our family all grew up around here. In fact, both the Wright and Dutton sides of my mother's family have been here since before the founding of the Hurricane Valley. They acted as instrumental members of helping to build the water canal to develop the city of Hurricane. I took her out here to Virgin recently on one of our UTV tours, and watching her out here the whole time was such a special experience and memory that we shared together. No matter how often we venture, Southern Utah never gets old. Most people don't know that Zion has multiple other sides beyond the main canyon. This is Kolob Terrace Road. Let me show you what's up the mountain. Keep going up that road and you hit Kolob Reservoir. 8,000 feet, alpine, dead quiet, feels like a completely different world. Our tours run on private land nearby Kolob Terrace Road and Smith Mesa, so you get all of this without dealing with the congestion. Kolob Reservoir sits at over 8,000 feet in elevation. You leave the desert in Virgin, and 23 miles later, you're in Aspen country. The reservoir itself isn't natural. It was built in the 1950s, and the original site they had in mind was actually inside of Zion National Park boundaries, until someone pointed out that that was illegal. Kolob Canyons is its own separate section of Zion. Different entrance, way less traffic. If someone asks me how to do Zion without the crowds, this is where I send them. Most people don't even know Kolob Canyons exists, and if they do, a lot of them don't even realize it's actually a part of Zion National Park. It wasn't always. This Kolob section was its own separate national monument all the way back in the 1930s before it got folded into the park in the 1950s. The name itself comes from the Mormon scripture Kolob, meaning the place in heaven closest to God's throne. And honestly, standing there, even though I'm not religious, I get it. Those Finger Canyon cliffs have walls pushing up 2,000 feet, and the tallest peak in all of Zion, Horse Ranch Mountain at 8,926 feet, sits right here in this section. What's wild from a geology standpoint is that while the main canyon exposes the oldest rock in the park, Kolob actually shows the youngest. You're looking at the same park, but reading a completely different chapter of the story. Spanish explorers passed through this area back in October of 1776, making them the first European documented in the area, long before the Mormon settlers arrived and gave it the name that stuck. What most people don't know is that long before the Paiute inhabited this area for at least 400 years, the ancestral Puebloans lived in these canyons, building cliff dwellings, leaving rock art in the Finger Canyons, and figuring out how to thrive in one of the most rugged landscapes on Earth. Around 1300 AD, they were gone. They didn't vanish, though. Archaeologists believe they migrated south and southeast and are direct ancestors of the Hopi and Zuni people still living in the southwest today. The Paiute moved in after and held this land as sacred for centuries. By the time any European ever saw these canyons, this place had already been home to people for over 1,000 years. Now we're back down in Hurricane. That's home base for Vista Vacation. This is Quail Creek Reservoir, and it's genuinely one of the most underrated lakes in Utah. Paddleboarding, floating, just being out on the water, people drive straight through Hurricane on the way to Zion and have no idea that this is back here. There's a local hike just above the reservoir on a mesa. Almost nobody knows about it. From the top, you could see Quail Creek Reservoir below you, the Virgin River, and a local spot we call Grandpa's Pond, as well as Sand Hollow Reservoir off in the distance, 4 bodies of water from one spot. Now we're off on a razor tour to Tokerville Falls. This one is not on typical tourist maps. You need a super high clearance 4x4 to get there, which is exactly why locals love it. Every mile of that trail is worth it. Another one of our favorite local loops takes the H Hill above Hurricane, and you get the whole valley laid out below you. The kind of ride where you just keep going and hold on tight. The same Virgin River that runs through Zion National Park runs right through Hurricane. These quiet riverbanks are easy to access with no entrance fees, just the magic of the river. And then there's the otherworldly Sand Mountain. Above Sand Hollow Reservoir, we run UTV tours up here, and the sandstone formations on this mountain are unlike anything else in the valley. I highly recommend seeing it firsthand for the full experience. From the top of the dunes, you look straight down to the turquoise water of Sand Hollow. That view doesn't get old. The sandstone up here has these wild shapes and ridges. Riding across it feels like a different planet every single time. Sand Hollow and Sand Mountain are connected by 2 tunnels under the highway. If you have never been, we highly recommend you visit both as they are incredibly unique. 600 acres of fine orange sand dunes and sandstone structures meets the turquoise water of Sand Hollow. When you ride with Vista Vacation, you're not just renting a machine and figuring it out on your own. You've got a local behind the wheel who knows every line on this mountain, where to push it, where to hold it back, and where to just stop and take it all in. Because Sand Mountain isn't just about the riding. It's about the experience of being somewhere that most people don't even know exists. Whether you've never sat in a UTV before or you've been riding your whole life, we meet you where you're at. Beginners get the confidence to push further than they thought they could, and experienced riders get the local knowledge that changes everything about how to read these dunes and how to find the hidden gems. This isn't a guided tour where you follow a flag and stay in a line. This is your ride, your pace, your experience, with someone who grew up in this desert alongside you. What you're riding on at Sand Mountain is 200 million years in the making. The red sandstone underneath your wheels, that's not just rock. That's ancient sand dune from a desert so massive it made the Sahara look small. It covered parts of what is now Utah, Arizona, Nevada, and Colorado. Over millions of years, it got buried, compressed, and turned to stone. Then wind and time went to work on it again, and now you've got fresh dunes blowing right across the top of the ancient petrified ones. You're literally riding on 2 deserts at once. One that's 200 million years old, and one that's still moving. And this land has had people on it for a long time. The Southern Paiute and the Shivwits Band specifically, this is their ancestral territory. They called this whole region home for over 1,000 years. They weren't just passing through. They were farming along the Virgin River, hunting through the desert corridors, reading this landscape the way we read a road map. The word Paiute itself comes from their language. It means water people, because they knew exactly where every water source was in one of the driest places on Earth. That kind of knowledge doesn't happen overnight. When you ride out here with us, you're not just getting a thrill. You're moving through country that has thousands of years of stories underneath it. Even the rainy days here are magical. The colors always pop like crazy from a fresh coat of desert rain. This is how we locals end a big adventure day. A recovery soak at Zion Canyon Hot Springs. Local natural hot springs and minerals imported from around the world, a sauna, cold plunge, and Virgin River and Confluence Canyon views, plus a 21 and up bar and cafe. If you're near Zion and haven't been, definitely add it to your list. It's well worth it. All of these options are recommended by Southern Utah locals. If you want to experience any of this firsthand, Vista Vacation is ready to customize a tour just for you. If you are ready to see the real local side, check out vista-vacation.com. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and share with family and friends to inspire them to plan a trip to Zion National Park. Also, if you would like a tour inside of Zion or Bryce National Parks with me, Charlie, as your guide, check out tourzionandbryce.com to request Charlie as your guide.